Okay, here's the deal about Harry Reid and the whole Negro thing. The majority of blacks and liberals in general aren't really going to make a big deal about this. Harry's a liberal, and he's got the license to make crack statements such as this recent one. Look at Joe Biden. He made racist statements too, and he's the vice president now. Harry Reid's comments don't shock me. Remember, y'all, liberals excuse themselves while accusing others of being what they claim to not be themselves. Now, liberals make the most crude, bigoted, sexist, homophobic, and anti-theistic comments. The music industry, for example, does a lot of referring to women as four-letter words and four-legged animals. Y'all crazy, bitch. And we know that there are Democrats who want you to vote Democrat when it comes time to rock the vote. The Democrat-run educational system went from wanting to keep our schools segregated to the condescension of wanting to bus in black kids to go to school with white kids to promote diversity. All it does is brew a minority complex. And liberals pat themselves on the back saying, look what we do for the Negro people. And that's one of the reasons many in the black community are blind to the racism of the white Democrats, because they are so programmed and convinced that the mighty white Democrats are going to do something for them. Eventually, I guess. But let me tell you something. If you're living in the ghetto, you can bet that the Democrats have been the majority in governing your area. Yeah, they're doing wonders for you. Democrats make them feel good about their bad situation by making them feel like it's not their fault. It's the white Republicans' fault. White Republicans did this to you. Democrats earn their trust with the tactic of self-effacement. They're big enough to point out the evils of other whites to sanctify themselves. They've had the black community programmed to be prejudiced against Republicans. Many black people don't believe that, though. They can believe that white people made them smoke crack and made them get AIDS as a form of genocide, which is not true, but don't see that the truth is Democrats are killing us off through Planned Parenthood. Let me read something to you from the eugenicist Margaret Sanger, Democrat and founder of what we know today as Planned Parenthood. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. She founded Planned Parenthood as a means to exterminate us. But her agenda is okay, because she's a Democrat, protected by the liberal prophylactic, like Harry Reid. Hitler and the KKK were on board with Sanger's philosophy, and unfortunately, too many in the black community are too. I outlined this in my book, y'all. I think it would be a good tool for you to have if you want to get a good idea of how they get away with doing what they do instead of being frustrated by what they do, so you can outshine what they do when they try to do it. Anyway, Harry, Democrats are the same party that fought to keep slavery legal. That's your party. When the Democrats got really sick of those pesky Republican abolitionists, the KKK was founded to be the terrorist arm of the Democrat slavery proponents. Harry Reid, that's your party. Ask Robert Byrd, he'll tell you. They are the party that stood against the first Civil Rights Act that was passed in the 1800s, thanks to Republicans, and revoked by the Democrats under the presidency of Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat. Harry Reid, that's your party. It was Democrats that enacted and maintained the Jim Crow laws. Yo, Harry, that's your party again. The Democrats are the same party that stood against desegregation of schools and the military. Yo, Harry, that's your party. And President Eisenhower, a Republican, ended segregation in schools and the military. Now, the only big thing Democrats really have is Lyndon B. Johnson, who was president when the Civil Rights Act passed in the 1960s. And that was accomplished because the Republicans had the majority vote for it. Most of the Democrats stood against it, and the Democrats try to cop out of that fact with some cockamamie story about a Southern strategy about Democrats leaving their party to join Republicans. That makes less sense than Janine Garofalo accusing black conservatives of having Stockholm Syndrome. When a person is trapped in the ghetto, in mind and body, yet loyally votes Democrat regardless of the racist and bigoted history of Democrats, that would be more like the Stockholm Syndrome Janine is trying to speak of. These people are beholden to the Democrats who make sure they stay just comfortable enough in that situation so they can harvest their votes come every election season. It's so funny that Republicans are seen as the party that's so hungry for power. You would think that if Republicans were so hungry for power, they'd patronize black people too. Patronize the Mexicans and all the non-whites and the feminists and so on. Republicans would tell them what they want to hear and massage their victim mentality like Democrats do. Talk about how much they feel your pain like Democrats do. And when they shamelessly win your vote like Democrats do, they'll become ghosts like Democrats do and haunt us with higher taxes like Democrats do. And unfortunately, we got too many Republicans going this way now. But the Republicans that have stuck to their conservative principles can't be the power-seeking party that the liberal elites sucker the lower liberals into believing, because if they were that hungry for power, they'd do all those things that the Democrats do to get it. Now, this thing with Harry Reid ain't gonna stop there. You're gonna have conservatives giving the same old reaction. If a Republican were to say that, why, there'd be hell to pay. And everybody knows that. Even the Democrats know that, and they're laughing about it. Now, the sad irony is that as much as conservatives claim to be pro-defense, often they're not that great at defending themselves. Democrats, the real racists, have been accusing Republicans of racism for decades. And after all this time, Republicans still fail to defend themselves against that charge. Let me give you a tip. The best way to defend yourself is to not get defensive, but adaptive. You stick to your principles, but you have to change your tactics. For example, as much as I love the Tea Parties, the only thing it will secure is a political victory. Then the left-wingers are going to get all rallied up and say that the teabagging racists are trying to keep the minorities down, and then it will be their turn for a political victory.